Gold Medal is one of the highest honors that we give to architects. It is an award that the Royal Institute of British Architects gives on behalf of the reigning monarch, His Majesty the King, to an individual or group who have advanced the delivery of architecture in the UK and globally.
We've made the Royal Gold Medal. We have since 1848, so we still use the same design, the same font for that as we've always done, and then obviously we update it as necessary when there's a change in monarch or if there's a effigy change for the existing monarch.
The first medal for the Royal Institute of British Architects was designed by William Wyon. This was a portrait of Queen Victoria, and William Wyon was a chief engraver of the Royal Mint. Very accomplished engraver, was a Royal Academician, and one of the best engravers of his generation. So the current portrait of the King, King Charles III, that's used on the Reba medals has been designed by Jack McDermott. And he would have based that image on photographic reference that he was given access to. The effigy of the King that's used on the Royal Institute of British Architects medals was personally approved by the King. The portrait side of the medal is like a coinage portrait. The relief is much higher than it is on a coin. And the other side of the medal, the reverse side, with the dedicatory inscription, let's say. Again, you see on lots of other medals. You see them on prize medals, all designed with the organisation's own interests and tastes in mind.
So the design process at the Mint for the Reba medal, so we used existing dies that we already had. So as we'd done for previous monarchs, so basically what we did is we've taken those dies, we've done a rubber mould, we've then scanned that and then used that as a basis then to remodel for the new dies.
So the effigy of King Charles III that's been used on the Reba medals is not the same as the one that's on coins that we'd find on our change every day. Sometimes, in other reigns, the coinage effigy has been used on prize medals and on other medals, and in this instance the decision was made to use a different effigy, and that was entirely in his gift to make that decision.
The inscription around the outside of the medal used the King's approved font for that medal. On the reverse of the medal, we've had to match. So what we do when we change anything is we have to try to best match the original font. The medals were first struck before fonts, as we know them, were invented. So what our designers then do is they look at it and they remould every letter based on the previous inscription to get the best match we can get.
We start off with silver graining because we don't have the blanks to accommodate the medals that we want. We put them in a furnace which will melt them down into a nice molten silver. Put them into a nice mould that we need. We will then planish it to get it to the size of the collar itself. We'll quickly buff it, make it look shiny. We will then polish the dies, line up the blank into the collar with the dies, and you've got to line up the dies to make sure they're exactly where you want them to strike. Once the first strike is done, we'll chuck them in the oven, anneal it for 20 minutes, come back out, polish it again, strike again, and just keep going until we get the depth that we want in the medal. Once that's done, we'll file off the edges and then polish it up until we get the finish that we want. We got our own plating room at the back where we'll hook it up to a rig, which will then dip into a gold solution. It'll then come out, we will then rinse it off, and then that should be a lovely gold finish.
So the process for the Royal Gold Medal is after it's been struck, polished, a little top mount would sit on top of the medal. It will be hallmarked at 1 o'clock, and then on top of the mount itself will be 2 soldered rings for it to sit inside the ribbon, which is hand sewn in the mint and ready for the recipient.
The oldest Reba medal we've got in the collection dates from 1837. So the Royal Mint Museum has a run of Reba medals from Queen Victoria's reign right the way through to Elizabeth II's reign, and we'll have a specimen of the one for Charles III in due course. What we don't have is a medal with Edward VIII's portrait on. He was King of Britain from during 1936. But because of the shortness of his reign, he abdicated at the end of 1936. A medal wasn't made for Reba with his portrait on. So the one for 1937 carries a portrait of George VI. There is a format that prize medals fall into. It explains what it is the medal's about, and does it in a way, particularly with the Reba medals, in an attractive way. It's not just functional. It actually has been thought about in a material way to make it look good.